All right, now we're going to pick up with our last little section on equations. This section is 2, 4 in digits. The topic of this relates to the solutions, the actual answers. In equations, as you've been solving equations, you've been coming up with one answer, such as x equaling 5, x equaling -10. Now we're going to look at the solutions where we have one solution like you've been working, but also when you have what are called no solutions, or what are called infinite number of solutions, or infinitely many solutions. So our central question for today is, how can I determine the solutions to an equation? So I'll give you, if you'll take just a minute to copy this down, and I'll go ahead and highlight this. So if you'll get this essential question, and I'm going to go backwards, and if you will copy this topic down as well. And then pause the video as you need to, start it back up, ask questions, call me over. I'll be glad to help you. All right, so as we get started today, first thing I want to do is go through this scenario here where it says to evaluate each expression using different values for s. Then tell what you know about the expression. So the first thing I want to do is just take a minute to go through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in a value for s. So if I put a 1 here, that means we're going to substitute a 1 in for that s right here. So we would do 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. Then multiply the 12 times the 3 to give you 36. All right, if I do the same thing over here, if I put a 1 in for s, that would be 6 times s, or 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 12 is 18. 2 times 18 is 36. If I put a 0 in, I know I'm kind of going not numerically, but kind of out of order. So if I put a 0 in, and let me just erase this, a 0 here would give me 4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 times 3 would give you 24. Do the same thing here. Put a 0 in, substitute in. 6 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 12 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So what do you notice? You'll notice regardless of whatever value I put in for s, whether it's a 1, a 0, or any other thing, the two answers are going to have, or the solutions are going to be the same. They're both going to be the same answer. So when I put 1 in, both of them give me 36. When I put 0 in, the answer is going to give me 24. So regardless of whatever value I put in here, I could put 4.7. I could put the fraction 1/5. I could put just a decimal value, 0.75. I'm going to still have the same answer for both expressions. Okay, that's going to come into play in just a little bit, but I just wanted you to kind of see how those represent the same thing. You don't need to copy this down or anything, so I just kind of wanted you to have it. All right, we're going to start off with what you're used to. When you solve an equation or have been solving an equation, you get one answer, x equals some number. It could be a positive, negative, fraction, whole number, decimal, whatever. So the question here is, when does an equation have one solution? This is what you're used to. As you progress through this year and next year, and in the algebra, whenever you take it, whether it's next year or in the 9th grade, you're going to talk about the different types of solutions an equation has. So with equations, you have one answer, no answer, or what's called infinitely many answers. So we're going to first talk about one solution. A linear equation in one variable, that means it has one variable, has one solution if only one value of the variable makes the equation true. So I do want you to copy this down. When you have one solution, that means there is only one answer. So if you were to work this problem, we have this equation right here. You go through the process, you get y equaling 2.5. That is the value of y. When you solve an equation and you get an answer like this, y equals something, x equals something, n equals something, that means there is one solution. There is one answer that makes that statement or that equation true. So that's what you have always worked, okay? So this part should not be anything out of the ordinary. A simple example of that would be like x plus 7 equals 9. Every single one of you can understand I apologize for the bell. Each one of you can understand why our answer is 2, because 2 plus 7 is 9. This right here represents where we have exactly one solution, because that is the only thing that x can equal to make that statement true. All right, so let's move to the next kind. The next one is, when does an equation have no solutions? It's exactly what it says. There is no solution to make the statement true. So when we have an equation that has no solution, what it means is we have a linear equation with one variable that has no solution, and that would be true if no value of the variable makes the two sides of the equation equal. All right, an example, let's look at this. We have 3 and then 2g plus 4 in parentheses equals 6g plus 9. As we work through this, hopefully you could look at this and you identify. In fact, I want you to go ahead and copy this down. What we're going to do is we're going to use the distributive property. We're going to multiply 3 times 2, or 3 times 2g, and then multiply the 3 times 4, which gives us 6g plus 12 equals 6g plus 9. So we have variables on both sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract the 6g here, and then do the same thing over here, subtract it. So when I subtract the right side, 6g minus 6g, that cancels out. Over here, that cancels out. You'll notice there's a 12 left over and there is a 9 left over. So if I bring those down, does 12 equal 9? 12 does not equal 9. So what that means is that is not true. So let me go ahead and highlight these. Hopefully you'll copy those down. That would mean it is a false statement. 12 does not equal 9. So what that means is we have no solution, since 12 does not equal 9. So no solution means you're going to have two different numbers on each side. Okay, so if you work an equation, and when you work that equation, you get a problem or an answer that looks something like this. 7 equals 11. Does 7 equal 11? No, it does not. So what that means is it's no solution. Okay. Let's go to the next one. The third kind is when we have what are called infinitely many solutions. All of you know what infinity means. It means we have a never-ending supply or never-ending amount. So our question here, when does an equation have infinitely many solutions? And this is another kind of equation you're going to have to identify. So infinitely many solution means we have a linear equation with one variable that has infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many means it's never ending. So our number of solutions is never ending. It means if any value of the variable makes two sides of the equation equal. All right, so let's look at this equation. If you'll copy this down. So we have 9 plus 4p minus 2 equals p plus 3p plus 7. As you know, looking at this, I can combine that 9 and that minus 2 to give you a positive 7. So that leaves 7 plus 4p. I apologize for the phone call. All right, all I did here was just in the first step to the second step, just kind of rearranged it so that 9 minus 2 is right there, and then that p plus 3p plus 7 stayed the same. So as I just said, we get 7 plus 4p equals 4p plus 7. As you'll notice right here, 7 plus 4p is the same as 4p plus 7. They're just turned around. But as you'll also notice, are these exactly the same? They are. So that'll come into play in a little bit. But if I was to work through this, I'm going to subtract 4p minus 4p, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So when I do that, these two things are going to cancel out. These two things are going to cancel out, so that leaves just now 7 on the left side and 7 on the right side. So my answer is 7 equals 7. If the two answers on the two sides are the same, that means that we have what is called an infinite number of solutions. An infinite number of solutions means that regardless of whatever number you put in for p, it's going to work out. So for instance, if I put a 1 here, 4 times 1 is 4. So if I add 9 plus 4 is 13. 13 minus 2 is 11. P plus 4p, or let me substitute it in first. If I put a 1 here, that gives you 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 7 is 11. So that would give me 11 equals 11, which is a true statement, which means that would be infinite. So when you're working through a problem, if you get the same thing on the left side and the same thing on the right side, that means that it has an infinite number of solutions. It will not always necessarily be a number. It could be a variable, y equals y. That means in itself that it is infinite. That means regardless of whatever number you put in there, it's going to work out. You could put a fraction, a whole number, a decimal, positive or negative. All right, as you work through this, I want you to pay attention to this part right here. As you'll notice right here, those two sides, the left side and the right side, they have the same exact terms, meaning they both have a 7 that's positive and they have a 4p that is positive. When you have the two sides that are exactly the same, this right here and this right here, you can already identify that is going to be infinite. So that means that we're going to have an infinite number of solutions. All right, so in summary, we're going to have one solution, we're going to have two solutions, or we're going to have what is called an infinite number of solutions, or infinitely many solutions. One solution means there's exactly one answer. No solution means that there's no number whatsoever you can put in the equation to make it true. And infinitely many solutions means it doesn't matter what the number is, you substitute it in, it will make that equation work out. All right. What I want you to do is to look at the left side. I don't need you to copy anything here. I shouldn't say the left side, the bottom one right here. Does 4 equal 9? No, it does not, so that means that is no solution. 2j plus 7, 2j plus 7. Are these two things the same exact thing? Yes. So what that means is this would not be no solution. So that would be an X. So this would be the true one because 4 does not equal 9. All right, one solution. This is like what you're used to working. We want to figure out what X equals. So obviously that would be your solution. Infinite number of solutions basically means that regardless of what you put in there, that's what you're going to get. And for this one, that gives us 2/10, okay? Does 2/10 equal 0.02? If you'll think about it, 0.2 or 2/10 is going to be written as 0.2 or 0.2. And this right here is 0.02. Are those the same? They are not, so that would not be true. Let me go back over here real quick. 1/2, does that equal 5/10? Yes, it does, which simplifies to 1/2. Now, would that be one solution or would that be infinite number? That would be infinite because these two values are the same. So that would be false for one solution. All right, if you work through this, we're going to divide 3 on each side, which gives you h equals 4. So that is our one solution. That is two different things, so that would be no solution. This is one solution, so neither of these mean infinite, so that would also be false. All right, so what I want you to do now is I want you to try this one right here. Does 1/2 equal 2/3? Okay, if it does, I want you to write one solution. I want you to write no solution. Or I want you to write, and you can just abbreviate this, infinite number of solutions. All right, so I want you to do this one. I want you to try this one. I want you to try this one. I want you to try that one. And then I want you to look at this and see if you can determine when this would represent infinite number of solutions. And that is it. And if you will then move from here and work on your digits that goes with it, which is 9.4.